Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. I am Kelly Lee. If you are new here, I am a witch and I talk about things I do every day in my spirituality practice, as well as aromatherapy, herbalism, and of course, tarot. Before we get into the meat of the actual video, I did just want to give a quick update. I have not really been filming the month of December. It is December 28th today as I am filming. I have not really been filming. December is a really rough month for me. My mom did pass on December 7th, 16 years ago. Christmas is always, kind of rough without her, but I have also been very, very, very sick with like a sinus head congestion thing. And now I have pretty sure I have passed it on to my partner. So he is also getting sick. So it's been kind of, like a little bit of a rough December. But all that aside, I'm getting back into it. So, because it is December 28th, it is almost 2026, I am doing the end of year tarot tag, okay? So, number one, let's just get right into it. I'm ready to film again about tarot and things. I'm so excited. Number one, deck you loved using the most this year. So that would be my Apothecary Spirits Oracle. I have used this deck. So every month I have been trying to, because I have so many decks in my collection, I've been trying to go. So one of my goals for 2025 was that I would go through and actively use every single one of my decks. And I did that. But this one I used much more often than others. So this is the back. Very, very pretty. And so these cards are just so very, very pretty. They're very herbal based, of course. I have been using these cards in my weekly pools to just do like an overall theme for the week. That I love this one. This is Prickly Pear Cactus. It is so pretty. But I love this deck so much. It's always very on point. One of the reasons I love it so much as well is because not only does it give, like readings based on the herbal things that are on the cards, but for each card they do go into the practical actual like medicinal herbalism usages for each herb. So not only do they do like a brief little history of the herb, they do an herbalism little like paragraph, and then they do the if you were pulling this card in a reading, so I do love that for folks who are maybe trying to get into herbalism, maybe for even me. I love just pulling the card and reading what they had decided to include in the guidebook in the herbalism like realm. Love this deck. Cards are also such good cardstock. The cards themselves are so velvety and nice. It's edged in this really pretty green color that really matches, the back. Love it so much. So this was my deck that I loved using the most this year. And I'm about to do my year ahead spread and do the cards for each month for next year. And I always pull an oracle card for like an overall feel for the year. And I will probably be using this deck for that, unless another one specifically calls out to me. So, next, most recent addition to your collection. Most recent addition is the Nova Witch Tarot. I have really been loving this deck as well. These are the backs. I love the backs of these cards. So these cards are very like minimalistic, kind of like minimalistic in the like color scheme. It's very like muted, not a lot of like bright colors, but it is just so pretty, so just like on point. I love this deck so much. I saw this deck on Etsy, and I immediately fell in love and said, I have to have this deck. Look how pretty. The cards are a little bit larger than like a normal tarot card size, you know, that you would get. But I can riffle shuffle them, but it is a little difficult and it takes a little bit of practice. In the guidebook, she also, Sookie Ferguson, she also, for each card, she includes 3 keywords. She includes a description of the card itself, and then if you pull the card in a reading. So she doesn't really do reversals. So if you are someone who reads reversals, she does not include that in her explanations in the guidebook. But if you can just, you know, intuitively read reversals, you know, then you'll be fine. I do not read reversals, but that's just me. The deck that isn't usually your style, but you vibe with. So this took me a little bit of time to pick out a deck. I have a few decks that isn't my typical style, but I have been just randomly picking up and like using and flipping through, not for clients, but mainly for myself. And it is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. So I actually got this deck in one of the Witch's Moon boxes. I can't remember which one. One thing I did notice, though, I don't know if you all can notice, but the cards are not all cut the same. So whenever I try to like level them out, it does not really level. Just something I wanted to point out. But here are the backs. I do love the back. It's like a nice guy. So one reason I don't normally like vibe with this type of deck, it's like almost very like photo collage type of a feel to me. That one's very pretty. So I don't always like really vibe with that, but for some reason I keep coming back to this deck and I keep pulling it and I keep shuffling and working with it. Very cute. Ace of Cups. So it is very pretty. I did get, whenever I got this deck in the box, Witch's Moon does include a card, an oracle card or tarot card in the box itself, and that's like your, you know, like reading. And this is the card that I got in my box, was the Mystic. So that is the Intuitive Night Goddess by Lindsay Silverman. Yeah, Lindsay Silverman. The guidebook itself is just like, it's like a black book, but it is just like, you know, like a little white book. You know, there's no pictures. It's just brief little meanings for each card. Number 4. This one I could not answer. It is your fave deck pairing. I don't normally pair decks. one of my goals for 2026 is to try and start pairing decks. I do, well, technically, I do kind of pair two. So I do two Oracle draws for my week ahead pulls. So I could show, yeah, you know what? I will show those. So usually here lately, for my week ahead pulls, I pull two Oracle cards. And what I have been pulling here lately is Apothecary Spirits and Sacred Creators Oracle. So let's just see how these, and I currently have them on my, my working deck here. So so very, that is green, very similar, very, on point. Lighting just changed in here. It got dark outside. So this is what I have been pairing here lately. So that I will use that on the fly for that prompt. Sacred Creators Oracle, of course, made by Chris Ann, who I love. I do have a few of her decks. So that one. Number 5, divination accessory you have loved using. So my main one, of course, is my, see, it's right down here, is my Ritual Tarot Planner that I have been using all year long. And I'm so excited because this week I get to use my new one. So this is my current one. It is, the soft back. Oh. And then I have my new one right here. Then we have my new one I get to use. It's the hardback. I love this so much. I love these planners. It really helps me connect with tarot. It gives me a space to really write them out, sit down. I have had a really hard time because I like going back and looking and seeing what cards I drew for what day of the year. And before I got the Ritual Planner Tarot, Ritual Tarot Planner, I had a hard time just keeping it all in one place. This really helps me with that. I will also tag the walkthrough I did of the new 2026 planner down below if you would like to look at that and see it and see if you would like to purchase one. I highly recommend. I've been using them now. This will be the 4th year that I will be using it. I have also really loved, let me see if I can grab it here. So this tarot card holder with moon, with the moon phases on it. I got this for my birthday from my boyfriend, and I use it every single week, and it holds my week ahead oracle cards. Let's see. Ooh, put you right down there. Okay. The deck with great card backs. Now this took me a minute because I had to go through and look at all of my decks. I know the ones that don't have the great card backs, but picking one that I really like that had really good card backs took me a minute. But I finally settled on the Forager's Daughter Tarot because look at this back. I love cicadas. I eventually am going to get a cicada tattoo with my bestie Katie. But I love cicadas. I love this deck as well. I'm just going to show off the deck too because I love the creator. She spent a lot of time on this deck and it shows, and I really, really enjoy it. So again, here are the backs. It is edged in sparkly gold, but these cards are so pretty. It's very animal based, which is, of course, right up my alley. I just connect with animals and plants so much more than people. Beautiful deck. I love that. 5 of Pentacles. You see there's a little passed on little mouse. So pretty. But that is the Forager's Daughter Tarot. I highly recommend purchasing straight from her. She is on Etsy. Not only do you get the deck like this, but you also get a really big hardback of her guidebook, which is really good. Let's see. Number 7, fave themed deck of the year. So I don't have a lot of like themed decks. But I do have horror decks. And this was my fave theme deck of the year, was the Horror Tarot by Todd Alcott. This is also one of the ones that have horrible backs. The deck itself is so amazing, but I hate the backs so much. It just says Horror Tarot over and over and over again. I hate them so much. But the cards themselves are like horror based, but they're based off of like comic books and then like movies, penny novels, things like that. And I love it so much. As you all, if you've been here for a while, you know I love my horror movies. And so does my boyfriend. He also loves horror movies, so we are always watching a horror movie or two. Very cool. So he also has a few other decks. If you, I also have his Pulp Tarot, which is like 1920s style type of stuff. He also has a sci-fi tarot, which is all, of course, sci-fi and based off of like sci-fi movies and novels and things like that, if you're into them. But I will warn you, the backs are not good. Most beautiful deck of the year. So this also took me a minute, but this is one of my, like, I call them my like original, like when I first started purchasing decks on my own for myself. This was one of them. And I come back to it over and over and over again because it is so beautiful, and the concept of the deck I really loved. So it is the Ostara Tarot. If you've never heard of this deck, 4 different creators got together: Molly Applejohn, Krista Gibbard, Julia Iredale, and Eden Cook. They all got together to create this deck. Each one handled one of the suits of the minor arcana, and then they split up, you know, the major arcana. So it's 4 different art styles, but they blend so well, and I love them so much. So this is the guidebook, and you get a picture, and then, you know, and it will actually tell you who or what minor arcana is illustrated by who in there as well. But I love the box it comes in, you know, because it's like a flip, like a little flippy box. But these are the backs. This was also a contender for the beautiful backs, because look at that. So pretty. And it is edged in bright silver. Oh God, let me just... And these are the cards. Beautiful cards. So pretty. Look at this. Every time I pull this deck, I am just like, once again, just like amazed at how pretty and how eye-catching these cards are, and how these 4 artists, like, look at that moon card. Oh my gosh. How these artists came together to make this deck. So pretty. Strength, she has a dragon. And she also has cities on her shoulders. Got a CB dragon. But so pretty. And you can, after you've worked with, or like walked through the deck, you can kind of start to see the difference in like art styles. But they still just go together so well. Love it. That is the Ostara Tarot by Molly Applejohn, Eden Cook, Julia Iredale, and Krista Gibbard. Love it, love it, love it. The box, though, you do have to like split the deck up in like halfsies and put them in there, and it has a little like, but I've thought about putting this into like a bag, but I love the box so much. And that's a rare thing for me, to actually like love a box. Okay. The deck I wish I had. So of course I don't have this deck right now. Let me look online. Okay, no, I have it. So there is this deck, and I want it really bad, but part of me is, I love it, but I'm intimidated by it as well, if that makes sense. It's called the Pressed Flower Tarot, and it is on Etsy right now. Let me just look up the author of that for you all, because it is so pretty. It is being sold by Midnight Grotto on Etsy. And it is of course, the Pressed Flower Tarot. It is, let me see if I can get a picture of the deck, by Celeste Time. I love that deck so much, but it does intimidate me a little bit. So I'm working up the courage. I want it so bad. I'm working up the courage to purchase it and to start working with it. So, card that sums up the year. And I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to the cards. So the next few prompts are about pulling a card that you want to talk about, or what have you. So I'm going to use the Ostara Tarot to actually pull these cards and then to talk about them, because I love this deck so much. And just looking at it. So card that sums up the year for me. Let me see. Talk amongst yourselves while I search for this freaking card. Every time I go to like look for a specific card in a deck, it's always like at the bottom. But when I like remember and realize that, I go to look, start at the bottom, and then it, you know, it's just... Okay, the star. Okay. It is the Fool. Just because, so that was the card that sums up this year. This year was a lot of jumping back into things. Like, I really jumped back into YouTube this year. I really have been gaining my following on YouTube. I've really been gaining my footing. That was a big leap for me to start actively recording and posting again. I also started my website to do online readings for folks. I'm so used to just doing in-person readings. But I started my online store, online website. It is very new. I'm going to add more stuff to it as we go along. I am going to start making like herbal products and stuff too to sell as well. But for now, it's just tarot readings on there. So the Fool has been encapsulates what this year has been. I am finally also in a relationship where I can be my little kid self and be silly and be goofy, and he just is silly and goofy right along with me. And I love that. I've never like had that in a relationship before, and I'm almost 40 years old. I know. But so I am really getting back to my childlike wonder of things. I've really gotten into Pokemon again. I've started buying Pokemon cards again just because I love the artwork. It's so cute. I've actually started playing Pokemon again. So this was just a year of like refinding myself and taking chances and being rewarded, whether that chance works out or not, you know. I'm just very thankful. So the Fool encapsulates this year, okay? The card I am calling in, let me see if I can find, I should have looked for that one while I was looking for the Fool. That's 8, 6, 5, 7. Again, talk amongst yourselves. What are you all doing? Did you have a good Christmas? As I try to... My goodness. Again. There we go. So the card I'm calling in for 2026 is the 9 of Coins. I always refer to this card as Boss Ass Bitch because she has put in the work. She is reaping the rewards. She is enjoying life. So whether me putting in the work, whether that is the rewards I get monetarily or if it's emotionally, materially, spiritually, I just want to put in the work. And I know that I am going to be a boss ass bitch. I'm going to work towards my goals and my dreams that I have been taking the steps to all of 2025. So yeah, 9 of Coins. Tarot practice reflections. So over 2025, like I said, my goal was to work with all of my tarot decks, and I did. And part of me sometimes thinks that I may have too many. But I am also a tarot collector. I am not just a tarot reader. I do just collect tarot decks as well because I find them aesthetically pleasing. I do have some projects in mind to frame some tarot decks that I just don't really vibe with, but they're so pretty. I do want to just like frame them and hang them up. But my tarot practice also once again has not let me down. I turn to tarot over and over and over again to deal with things that are going on in my life, to help me plan, to help me, just have comfort, to know that tarot is always there. Number 13, a card for the new year or a deck you want to work with next year. So deck, so we're going to do kind of both, right? I didn't really think about this prompt beforehand. So we're just going to go through this deck and look at a card for the new year. And when I think about, so Nine of Coins is kind of a card for the new year. So that's kind of, redundant. But the Queen of Coins also really popped out to me. So Queen of Coins and Nine of Coins is basically the energy that I want to bring into 2026. And then deck that I really want to work with. So I have two. Number one are, get these over here, throw a little special in the bag, are my soul cards. So these are the backs, and there's two different colors because it's two decks in one, and that's why she thick, okay? But these soul cards, I really want to work with because this is just all intuitive. There's no guidebooks. There's nothing. So you just look at the picture, and then just get hits intuitively. I'm also intimidated by this deck too. And this deck has so many really cool thought-provoking images. So I really want to use and work with this deck next year. And then also, I worked with this deck a little bit this year, but, let me put this back in its bag. I also got this bag off of Etsy, and I love it so much. It's like a black rose, and then the zipper has a little, like, palmistry hand on it. I also want to work with the Herb Crafters Tarot. I worked with it a little bit, especially in my rotations of just working with all of my decks. This is the back. But I do want to work with it more because I love the pictures. The artwork is amazing, of course, and it has herbs and it's just amazing. And I want to work with it. Artwork is beautiful. Yeah, so Soul Cards and Herb Crafters Tarot are the decks that I really want to work with in the new year. All right, that is it. 2025 is done. Another year of tarot has come to an end. My most active year on YouTube has come to an end. I am so thankful to all of you, number one, who stuck around to the end of this video, but also those of you who have subscribed, who comment, who like, who do all the things. I really appreciate you. I do this because I just want to talk about tarot and spirituality and witchcraft, and I want to debunk stereotypes, and I want to, just bring, the good vibes. But thank you all for watching. If you do a end of year tarot tag, let me know. I would love to watch. I've been watching them like all month. And I will post my planner video, and I hope to see you all in the year 2026 and all the good things. But I will see you next time.